Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates. And today we're going to be updating you all on the hurricane scenario we're seeing in the Gulf of Mexico. Currently got hurricane slash tropical storm Marco because it became hurricane overnight. However, it has recently weakened again to tropical storm, and then tropical storm Laura, which is soon to become hurricane. Now today Marco is estimated to make landfall in a few hours' time. Around the New Orleans, South Louisiana sort of portion, and Laura is about 48 hours behind that. So if we currently look right now, these are the only main two tropical systems in the Atlantic. So again, as I said yesterday, we're going to have a brief to mid-range length of time without a tropical disturbance, which will be good. So maybe 4 or 5 days without a tropical disturbance, looking like that in the Atlantic. Central Pacific, we still got that small disturbance there. It's pretty much not going to be developing right now, but it's still kind of there. And then in the Eastern Pacific, we've got two big areas of development. We've got a 90% chance of tropical cyclone in 5 days, and a 90% chance again in 5 days. So two tropical systems looking like they're going to be developing just to the west of Mexico, and they do look like they're both going to be drifting northwards, a bit offshore, so it doesn't look like they're going to be making much landfall. So the significant winds that we could be seeing with them don't look like it's going to make landfall, but still heavy rain, a bit of a storm surge, and some gusty winds still. It's very, very interesting to see here. You can almost see four big tropical systems within this one picture frame. You got Mark up there, Laura just out of frame right there, and then you got these two soon to become tropical depressions and probably most likely tropical storms. So four tropical systems in the same snapshot, which is quite interesting to be seeing. But we'll move now on to Tropical Storm Marco, and if we have a look at the warning cones, that images, you see it's not got a particularly long life left to it. It's gonna be sitting just in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's going to slowly make landfall. The landfall estimators have briefly changed in the last 24 hours, as it was estimated to move towards New Orleans, and we did have hurricane warnings in there, but those have been dropped since, as the storm has weakened because of wind shear. It does look like it's moving a bit more westwards, so it's sort of going to be making landfall slash being over ocean, sort of going along the shore for the next couple days. So official landfall is going to be quite difficult to estimate and decide, because as you see here, there's a few islands off the coast which it could be making landfall on technically within the next few hours, but then heading back over the ocean again. It doesn't look like it's weakening, but again, it's going to still pack a punch with significant rainfall, some reasonably strong winds, and probably still a storm surge. You can see that orange circle there is where the tropical storm winds are currently. If we move on to the wind speed probability, you can see it was difficult because we got Laura combining into this, but you can see tropical storm winds very much likely to be developing along this coast now, if not from Marco, but from Laura as it moves across. So if you are in the Louisiana, southeastern Texas coastline, you're going to be seeing some strong winds over the next few days. Tropical storm most likely, if not hurricane. So you've got to watch out for that. Look at arrival time of winds. You can see it's again Monday morning into Monday afternoon, where it's going to be making initial sort of landfall on the southernmost tip of Louisiana. So that's in a few hours' time. It's going to be making sort of the tropical storm winds will start to arrive on parts of land. If we now have a look at the peak surge, you can see currently it's 2 to 4 feet, which is not as much as yesterday. Yesterday was looking at maybe 3 to 6 feet. But that's still a significant surge, and you can see lots of portions of Louisiana are quite low lying. That's why Hurricane Katrina had such a huge impact, even though it was only a Cat 2 or Cat 3, I think. Still makes significant impacts because of the storm surge and the significant rainfall. We can still see some very significant conditions from Tropical Storm Marco, even though it has been downgraded from a Cat 1 hurricane and is looking like it's going to be weakening significantly over the next few days, dissipating by the middle of the week. It's still going to be packing a punch with significant winds and peak storm surge. If we look at US rainfall potential, you can see still around 6 inches for the sort of New Orleans area. The reason why this, you can see the middle of the storm is passing just south of the coast, but this storm's sort of northern and eastern based for most of its convection. We'll see that in a minute as I'll have a look at the radar. But yeah, still significant rainfall. That hasn't really been downgraded, and you can see maybe a few hints of 10 inches in there, which is a lot of rainfall, even though it's just a tropical storm. Flash flooding, still a reasonable chance of flash flooding in these areas. Again, this is quite a broad area, and you can see a lot of probably thunderstorms around the system as well. We'll now move on to the more probably significant storm with hurricane Laura, which is forecast at the moment to become potentially Cat 2, maybe Cat 3. So significant wind conditions from that, and that's sort of arriving Wednesday, Thursday, so about 48 hours behind Marco. But the interesting thing is Marco is going to be positioned around where this is right here, while Laura is here. So it's going to be interesting to see what interaction they have. It's difficult to see how the models are forecasting that at the moment, but we'll have to keep an eye on that nearer the time. If we look at wind speed probabilities, quite a high chance now of tropical storm winds all the way across there, as I highlighted a minute ago. Hurricane force winds, that's about a 45% chance to parts of western Louisiana coastline and eastern Texas are going to be seeing some very strong hurricane force winds. So at the moment, the significant impacts from Marco are brazing more the southeastern coast of Louisiana, but Laura's more the south and southwestern parts of Louisiana. So it looks like most of the Louisiana coastline is going to be seeing some very significant impacts in the next few days. If we look at arrival time, we've seen that. So this is the arrival time of the earliest time tropical storm winds. So a minute ago we had a look at the warnings and surface winds, and that showed what time it was going to be sort of arriving at the centre. But you see the wind's still arriving Wednesday 8 a.m. sort of as Marco's there as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see what that looks like both on radar and how that sort of develops. Tornado potential. I haven't seen this, but yeah. So potentially there's a chance of a tornado there. So yeah, it's very very significant sort of impacts from that. With those storms developing, as you can see, having a look there, there's potential for tornadoes coming from this. So that's interesting to see. So we'll go back to Laura again, and we'll have a look at US rainfall potential. So you see a lot more rainfall potential from this storm. It's going to be a lot larger, as we saw on the image a minute ago, and we'll have a look on the radar in a minute. 10 inches quite widely on this sort of split of Texas and Louisiana border, and still quite a lot of rain even around here. So New Orleans almost doubling their rainfall from this second system, probably because it's got quite significant outer bands. And we'll have a look at that now as we'll move on to the weatherchannel.com, as we can see both the cloud images for both storms. So you see Marco there's quite a northern and eastern based dominant storm, with the centre's more over here and it's more going to move along there. You can see this big clump of cloud, and then you can see more of Laura, which is down here with the sensor just in there, and that looks like it's going to be having more of a development, so that potentially could be forming an eye quite soon. We'll have a look at the infrared. So as you can see with the infrared, got very still quite a lot of convection going on with Marco. With so there's white colours there showing where the cloud tops are really high. You can see so still a lot of convection there. See, it's a very northern based storm with a lot of convection over the top. But you see again, Laura's got a lot of quite wide convection moving around, so this has still got a lot of development to be going on with that. And you can see this contrast to thunderstorms moving out here, and these are sort of where potentially we're going to see those disturbances out in the eastern Pacific developing. So it's a very, very large system. This is with very high cloud tops, showing that there's still a lot of energy that there is within the system. Water vapor again sort of highlights, if it loads highlights again, sort of where the convection's happening. And lastly, we have a look at current radar. If that loads, as you can see right now, you can see the outer bands of Marco are starting to make landfall, and then the inner bands here with the very significant rain and probably significant wind as well, still 50-60 mile an hour, so tropical storm winds will soon be making their way westwards. But as you can see, it is a very sort of northern dominated storm. And if we move, we can move future radar on. We can see on the future radar, we can see, if we slow that down a bit, you can see the storms moving, and you can see it sort of does fill it out again in the longer range, because it's quite uncertain exactly where the rain bands are going. But you can see generally the idea of both storms moving, affecting parts of Hubert and then moving into New Orleans. As you can see, very northern based storm, and this one's starting to pull an eye in there, if you can see. It's starting to move an eye in to provide more significant circulation. And as we skip to the end, you can see it's quite widespread. So very significant impacts coming from these storms, and I might update you again later with another video to see how especially Marco's made landfall and how Laura is developing further day, and whether it reaches hurricane status, or what the update on that is at least, as it's not forecast to reach hurricane status until at least leaves Cuba and enters the Gulf of Mexico again, over warm waters, and can restrengthen. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe for new, and I'll see you again maybe this afternoon or tomorrow for another update on the tropical systems.